Powfu is an artist who dropped one of the biggest songs of 2020, which would get billions of streams across platforms, and that's where my last video ended on him. But in this video, I'm gonna see what Powfu did since then. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy. After Deathbed, Powfu would become one of the only lo-fi rappers to ever sign to a major record label, and would be potentially the only lo-fi rapper to ever have a song actually make the Billboard charts. At this point in his career, Powfu had actually already changed lo-fi hip-hop forever, and would become the face of it, putting a lot of pressure on his shoulders to follow up and not be a one-hit wonder. With that being said, Poems of the Past would be one of the highest streaming lo-fi hip-hop albums that has ever existed, with the average song getting somewhere around 25 million streams. This is especially crazy when you consider lo-fi doesn't really have any outlets for promoting your album, so he didn't do much in terms of promotion with interviews, with a crazy album rollout. He just kind of released the EP, but it still did those numbers. Not long after this EP, he would be part of Eyes Blue Like the Atlantic Part 2, which would be the highlight of most lo-fi artists' career, but for Powfu, this would just be his third top streaming song. The story behind how this song came together is pretty interesting, and I talk about it in my Roseboy video, but essentially it seems as though the label and the lo-fi artists kind of came together and ended up compromising and creating yet another one of the biggest lo-fi songs in the scene's history. With that being said, it was also yet another one that had Powfu's name on it. His next single, Stay Forever, would perform well and lead to his album, Some Boring Love Stories Part 5. Now, this album performed relatively low for Powfu's standards, but still, compared to the lo-fi scene, it was one of the better streaming albums to be released up until this point. Now, something I noticed with Powfu is that every once in a while his streams will slow down for a little bit and then he'll absolutely explode again, which is exactly what he did with The Way That You See Me featuring Roseboy and Aileen Valentine.
I'll be sitting inside my car and regretting all that I did.
This song would get over 20 million streams, which is a feat he would repeat again on his next EP just 4 months later with the song Snowflake. 2022 was Powfu's first chance to actually tour after dropping Deathbed. He had waited 3 years on the edge of his seat, salivating at the idea of actually being able to perform his songs, and he took advantage of it right away. Not only would he sell out multiple shows, but at some of them he would stay after it had finished to spend some time with his fans. Aside from that, his streaming numbers would slow down a little bit, and I think this is likely to do with him being busy touring and not dropping as many songs as he has in the past 5 years. With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if a label played a part in this, but I don't have enough evidence to really say whether that is or isn't the case. It's just something that other artists have complained about in the past. Well, it's kind of tricky to have an artist who's coming in a new lane, kind of like lo-fi hip-hop has been for the past few years. I think Columbia didn't necessarily do the best job with him. What ended up happening is it seems that they promoted him to the pop people, and with this not being his audience, these interviews didn't really perform very well, which makes sense, but it is also hard to carve out a new niche. While I don't entirely blame the label because it does sound convenient to promote him to a pop audience, I do think that actually carving out your own lane and creating outlets that could exist in the lo-fi lane to help the genre flourish would be valuable. I don't blame them for not wanting to take that route because it's a very risky route to take. If only there had been somebody who was already somewhat established and had a video dedicated to Powfu that had over 450,664 plays. Unfortunately, there seems to have not been that guy. In 2023, the lack of Matt Miranda promotion was starting to show because his album, Surrounded by Hounds and Serpents, wouldn't perform amazingly. With that being said, if you actually listen to the album, he definitely has good songs on there, and I think it was more of an issue of fans not knowing he released the music in the first place, again, due to there not really being outlets for him to promote himself. With all this being said, he is currently preparing for a European tour, and I would imagine he dropped something before then, and if you listened earlier in the video, he definitely has a tendency to heat up very quickly. In the past, he has gone through a few phases where he would get slightly reduced streams before having some of the highest heights of his career, and I have a feeling that we could be just a few days away from Powfu yet again proving why he's one of the most successful lo-fi artists of all time.